Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing one of their past projects. We will let you decide if it was good or bad or just plain ugly. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is proof of funds letters. I'm bringing this one up today because more than a handful of investors have recently brought up the dangers of using a fake letter. There are services out there that will send you a professional looking proof of funds letter for just $12. The reason these are so popular is because of the increase of wholesalers out there in today's market. These wholesalers never have the intention of purchasing the home. They just want to get it under contract and assign that contract to an end buyer for a profit. Now, the best and most legal way to obtain a proof of funds letter is to develop a relationship with a hard money lender. They will sometimes do a soft pull of your credit to see what you truly can afford. Now, writing offers will be so much easier because you have already established a partnership with your hard money lender. When you find a property, you can simply email them the address and the amount you are offering, and they will send a legal proof of funds letter within a few minutes. So if you want to avoid being charged with potential fraud, stop using those fake proof of funds letters. Now on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us my new friend, Paul Barbeau. Paul is from Charleston, South Carolina, where he specializes in multifamily and self-storage investments. He started his real estate journey in 2013 by taking a leap of faith with a beginner real estate investing course. A short time later, he bought his first duplex, and then there is no stopping him. He currently owns 96 apartments and 160 storage units. I asked Paul to be on the show today to discuss one of his past projects, so let's get this party started. Welcome to the show, Paul Barbeau.
All right. Thank you, Jen. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we met in Puerto Rico just a couple weeks ago with Tim Bratz and his mastermind. And you were across the table from me doing what were they called?
Round robin or something like that. We were sharing our vulnerabilities and also
like challenges in your business.
Superpower. What challenge are you having currently with your business? And it was great. I really, really enjoyed meeting you and everybody else there.
That was
a lot
fun.
of great learning. Great networking.
I love that part of the mastermind because I went in. We were struggling, so I'll give you a little update to what we were discussing. Okay. But when you started talking, I was like, ooh, Mufasa, I like his voice. I don't care what he talks about. I want him on my show because you have a great voice. So
thank you.
Real quick, to back up what I was saying, what our biggest struggle was refinancing this quad that we had going on. We ended up selling it. We're under contract now, and we're going to make some great money off it. So
nice.
I know it was just one of those things where I'm like, everyone's saying this can't work. And when your lenders are telling you over and over again, you got to start listening. So we decided Saturday night, we all ended on a Friday. And then we decided that night, we stayed a couple extra days in Old San Juan, and we said, that's it. We're selling it. And we did a coming soon. And before we even left, we had 6 brokers reaching out, and now we are under contract, and boom. So that settled that deal.
All right.
Paul, this is not about me today. This is all about you. And I mean, yes, you have an amazing voice, but I am so excited to hear about this project. But let's back up a little bit. You said you took a beginner real estate investing course. What was that all about?
It was like, so I guess I went to college. I got a master's degree as well in civil engineering, and I always thought that I would invest in real estate at some point. My parents growing up, they had rental properties. They hated them, like, nasty tenants. And I remember like my dad worked out of town. He had a construction company, and then we would go and just like unclog toilets and just like the nastiest stuff, deal with the grossest people. But some reason I thought I still wanted to invest in real estate when I grew up. Couple rental properties as my career progresses and all that. So I was like, I guess I need to start at 101 and went to this. There was an investor group in Nashville that hosted these great learning events, and I went to that and how to find deals, this was like mostly geared towards homes, single family homes and stuff, how to find them, where to find them, banking and all that good stuff, how to fund them, and very, very green. And I was so nervous to go, and I thought, oh, real estate investors, that's only for rich people, very, sophisticated guys in suits and stuff. And I go in,
sophisticated.
And so I was like, let's start to learn about this stuff.
And what was the group, if you don't mind me asking?
Real Estate Investors Nashville.
Oh, okay.
Great group. I met so many great people, learned a ton, met business partners and brokers and everybody through that group. Really, really helped me launch my investing career.
Well, you're like me in that you see the value of investing in yourself. And because we're both part of Tim's mastermind, and, even in the background, before you joined Tim's group, you went out and you had that education, even though you grew up seeing it with your father and stuff. So for all the listeners out there that are thinking about getting into real estate, would you recommend doing an education program?
Absolutely. Yeah. Whether it just be online, something like that, or, but definitely going to get some good value out of being in person and meeting other people with your same struggles. And then you'll also meet people that have done more than you because they have other meetup groups and stuff as well. And just, talk to people, listen to their wins, ask them how they did it, learn a little, take a little action. Next thing you know, you'll have your first property.
I love it. And you started with a duplex. So that was that was a bigger one to start with. And then you never looked back. I love it. So we are going to talk today about a property you bought. Now, you currently live in Charleston, but you used to live in the Nashville area.
Yep.
What brought you to Charleston?
A female. I met a girl, and she dragged me down here. But actually, so I don't have any real estate in the Carolinas. My duplex was in North Carolina when I lived there briefly, and then moved back to Nashville, and then started getting into the bigger stuff.
Are you no longer with the lady in Charleston?
I'm not. No, she dumped me, brought me here and dumped me, but it's a good thing.
Well, we got a good-looking guy here, ladies. Anyone out there listening, I'm just saying. And, he sounds like Mufasa, too. I like it. All right, so let's dive into this deal. Give us a quick description, beds, baths, doors, I guess we should say here, when it was built, along with anything special about the actual property.
All right, so this was, I guess, my fourth real estate deal. I went duplex, primary residence for myself, 32-unit apartment complex, that's what kind of catapulted me into this realm. And then this 57-unit, which is what we're talking about today. So it's a 57-unit property. It was built in, I think, 1978, 1979. It was mostly full, and it looked great on the outside, but the interiors were, stuff to be desired on the insides, deferred maintenance. Tenant base was okay. It wasn't great, but like the neighborhood was wonderful.
Oh,
And based on the 32 unit that I owned in the neighboring town and the rents I was getting there, um, I was like, yeah, I can buy this place, get better rents than they're getting now, and then with commercial real estate, your value is based on your income numbers. And so I thought, man, this ought to be a good deal. Problem is, I had no money,
ah,
like $0, because I just spent all my money, savings, and everything, sold all my other real estate to buy this 32 unit property. I found this deal through the guy that I bought the 32 unit from. He ended up being my friend, and he said, "Hey, I've got this 57 unit down the road. Are you interested in buying it?" And I was like, "Absolutely, but I don't have any money."
well, how'd you buy the 32 unit?
So he owner financed like 30% of the purchase price
Okay.
on that one, and then the bank financed whatever it was, 60% or something. But I brought 10% down, which was about $100,000.
Okay.
It was a $1.1 million purchase price. So all my last dollars and cashing out my 401k and my house, my duplex, my savings, everything went into that. So I had 100 grand, and I bought that place with that, which was wonderful.
And then that one's cash flowing. And now this 57 unit comes across your desk and
Yep.
you're like, of course I want to buy it, but I have no money. So
Yep.
how did you, well, what was the purchase price of the 57 unit?
2.5 million.
Okay. Ugh, gosh, that sounds like a lot. So how did you go about finding financing for it?
So I went to real estate meetups, and I was going to 2 or 3 a week at the time. And I would just, like, everybody I talked to, hey, do you want to invest in apartments? Do you want to invest in apartments? Hey, and I had a couple, yes, maybe, let's talk.
And
And
let me cut you off here for a second. So
Sure.
I'm coming from the single family home realm where
Uh-huh.
you have, one person, or if you're working with private money lenders, you typically have a hard money lender in that first position, and then you have a private money lender in second position, but you don't do third position, fourth position. So you're asking all these people. So you are essentially starting a syndication. Is that correct? And that's where you pool all the money together?
correct.
Okay. So
You pull the equity, and then the debt. The debt, it was actually coming from the owner. He had, I think the thing was almost paid off or whatever, but he said, "I'll finance 2 million. If you can find $500,000,
wow.
we're off to the races." And so I was like, okay,
How did that conversation go with him doing the
he
seller
just offered
finance?
it. He just offered it. He said, "I don't want to pay capital gains tax this year. I want to seller finance this thing." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's perfect." And I'd studied, multifamily investing and learned, read about some little tips and tricks. And that was like one of them. So I was like, okay, I don't have to convince a bank that I'm credit worthy enough for this, because he's the bank. He knows me. He likes me. He trusts me. So I just got to find the money.
All right. So you're asking all these people, and how's that going?
Yeah. And so I think I had 3 people lined up at the time. I had lunch with the first one, and we kind of looked at it, and they were, we'll think about it, whatever. Let me know how your other partners come along, what they think. Second guy, same way. Then the third person I called, he said, "Yeah, that's great. I've really been wanting to get into apartments." He's a very sophisticated investor. He had never bought a larger multifamily before. And so he said, "What if I brought all the down payment, and just you and I were partners on this?" And I was like, "That would be wonderful." Because all of a sudden, all right, well, now I don't have to please several people. And a lot of people have different, whatever you call it, philosophies about raising money for your first time. Some people say raise as much from as many people as you can, because then as long as you make them happy, they'll come back. They'll tell their friends to, "Hey, we make great money. Let's invest in this next deal together," or whatever. But one was great. He was there, like, he was with me, like, as far as looking at the numbers and the repairs and all that stuff. We were partners, and we could collaborate and talk about stuff and bounce ideas off of each other, and we're learning at the same time. And so he had some land. and then a house that he sold and brought the cash to the table,
Wow.
and we closed it.
That is awesome. So he brought 500K
Yep.
and the owner is financing the seller, excuse me, is
Yeah.
financing 2 million.
Yep.
And what were the terms that you worked out with the seller?
Actually, we did get some good terms. I forgot about this. We got this is my partner's idea. He said, "Can we get 6 months of interest only?" Um, maybe it was like no payments for the first few months, 6 months of interest only, and then after that, it'll be principal and interest. And then I think it was a 20-year amortization, payoff in five or something like that. 5% interest rate, I think, which was
Wow.
about what the market was doing then. And but yeah, he just didn't want to pay capital gains tax. That was his primary motivation
Sure.
for that. I didn't have to convince him to seller finance it to me. So it was like on a silver platter. It was great.
That is fantastic, Paul. This is amazing. So what were the repairs needed at time of purchase?
So we were thinking about like maybe $3,000 per unit. Is that the exteriors were great? Actually, eight of the units had just been all redone. They had a fire in one of the 8-unit buildings, and he had gone through and fixed all those up like brand new, talking new appliances and everything, floor paint, new countertops, new cabinets. So those were good to go. And then I think we had $3,000 or $4,000 a door, whatever that is times 50, 150K or something, we'll say in repairs that we had allocated.
And how did
And
you fund that?
through the cash flow. And
Oh,
so we built up a good amount of money during that interest only phase, or the no payments in the interest only phase, because our payment was like, I don't know, $13,000 a month or something. But we were bringing in, I think, let me we'll say it's 30,000 a month on rents. Maybe it's like 25,000 bucks. And so we had cash in the bank. I don't think we had to reach into our pockets for any of that. But we didn't borrow money or anything for the repairs. It was just kind of as we're going, one or two tenants moves out this month. Okay, new floor, new paint, resurface countertops, put some new light fixtures in, and that kind of stuff. And there were still air conditioning units from 1978 on this property.
wow.
I mean, like you look at that thing and it's like an antique, and the top's like frozen solid and stuff, but they were still working. And so we had several of those that would pop, or the previous owner, he was like, if the Freon was leaking out of them, he would just refill it like once a year. And then next year, air conditioner's not working. Summertime hits, we'll pump it full of Freon. So we would replace those. And but yeah, it had a pool.
Oh,
The pool was kind of a pain. It had a leak in it somewhere, and I don't like pools because of that. They're just liability. The residents loved it, of course. We built a playground. Let's see.
what
And
about
that
laundry?
was
Did they have laundry in each unit?
No, we had a laundromat,
Okay.
and it worked fine. We'd have some troubles with it and stuff, but I think it brought in like $800 a month.
Sweet.
So that was great. Yeah.
That is so smart. And I remember Tim talking about one time with these older apartments from the 70s and 80s, how they all had tennis courts, and he converts
Uh-huh.
those tennis courts into dog parks now. I thought that was
Oh
really,
yeah,
really
yeah,
fun, like a dog run. I thought that was great.
yeah.
All right. So what were the current rents when you took ownership of it?
I think it was about 25,000 a month would have been the gross rents.
Okay.
So what does that put us at per
I,
year?
well, what does that put per door is what I want to know. What was,
That was a little more than that. Let's say $600.
okay. And then was there ability to grow rents and raise the rents?
Yes. So let's say the average it was a mix of 2 bedrooms and 1 bedrooms. Average $600 a month. Let's say the 2 bedrooms are paying like 650, and we could get those to 750. And then I think we charge a water fee, $25 for that because there was a master water meter that wasn't like individually metered. So that was a source of revenue. Pet fees, like I believe we had like a non-refundable pet fee when they moved in, and then we ended up doing some pet rent. It was like 25 bucks a month per pet or something like that. And so that stuff adds up. People,
Nice.
people love dogs. I love dogs.
Yeah.
Like, and he did not allow pets actually. So that was actually a big, source of revenue for us. And, we put down vinyl floors, did away with all the carpets because carpet, it's gross. If something pees on it,
Right.
it's going to be there forever. It's going to get into the subfloor and just stink forever.
So how did you do the renovations? Did you ask people to move out in between? Were you renovating while people were in there? Did you move them into the nicer ones and as you like swap them through?
No, just as people moved out.
Okay.
And there was a lot of people that, let's say they were paying $600 a month. The market rate now was $750. We might bump that rent to $700.
Right.
So not quite the top level yet, because they didn't have the same apartment as the people with the
Nicer
stuff.
Right.
And so like half of those people will move out, and so we do those, and I'm not sure if we ever. I don't think anybody stayed. We owned it for 2 years, but I think we got just about every one of them turned at least once.
Nice.
New finishes and new rents.
So listeners, he is saying so many great things here. He had the owner or the seller do owner financing, become the bank. Then he has payments pushed out 6 months. So everything coming in is actually paying for the repairs at this point. Then you start paying the interest payments. You have started this deal with no money out of pocket, and then you end up selling it in 2 years. And I'm sure you make a beautiful profit because you stabilize the value, bring it up to what market rents are. But any crazy shit happen while you owned this property?
Yeah. So the first week, this was like the, set the stage. So the property management company that we hired, they went through and tucked flyers in everybody's door, like, "Hey, we're the new management company. Here's how you get in touch with us. Here's how you pay rent now." And so me and my partner, we're over there like a week later. We knew there was a man that was sick and just like on his basically just couch ridden, and so we're walking around, and I was like, "Why's that flyer still in that door right there?" I was like, "Because that means no one has been in that apartment or out of it in a week." And we go over there, like knock on the door, no answer, knock on the door. And I was like, "Let's just try the door, I don't know, it's probably not going to be locked. It's probably going to be locked." Open it up. And there was a man that was dead in the floor.
A week later.
A week later, and my business partner, he's like, I'll go take a look. He goes over there and kind of bends down, and he's like, "Yeah, he's dead. He's dead." I was like, "Oh God." So yeah, it's pretty sad. It was like he had a caretaker that his brother kind of took care of him, and he would have people like bring in food and stuff. But like, I guess his brother just like had enough or whatever. The guy was a terrible alcoholic, and I guess that's how he met his demise. Turns out, but yeah, so we just called 911. "Hey, we got somebody in here that's deceased.
Yep.
What do we need to do?" They come in an ambulance and stuff, and investigators, and I was like, "Oh, we didn't have anything to do with this. I promise." Like, just, the guy that finds him is always the first suspect. But
there you go.
So they were like, no, like this, it's clearly like he died of natural causes or whatever you call it. But so yeah, that was a little bit I don't know what you call it, eerie, spooky, Oof. Bad taste, whatever. But we're like, all right, got to keep going here, and then just so happened that same build that was in like a 6-unit building. These are 6 1-bedrooms. There's like 5 or 6 buildings across the complex, and then that same building burned down. About a year and a half later, there was a crazy man in one end of it, and he was always doing this real crazy stuff. And this time, it actually his air conditioning unit caught on fire, which I didn't know was possible. It was a window unit.
Mm-hmm.
He had, but the reports from the neighbors were that it was 80 degrees outside. He had both doors open, the front and back door, and the AC ran for like 4 days straight with no break and caught on fire and burned the building. So that was like it was just a project. Like you could deal with the insurance company and the contractors, and like luckily our insurance paid for like the lost rents during that time.
Nice.
But it was just like it was a headache. So
did you rebuild it?
we rebuilt it. Yeah,
okay.
We did rebuild it. And let's see, the other thing that happened, we inherited a maintenance man that was we're talking like bottom of the barrel of society. Like this guy he would have been in jail if it wasn't for the previous owner had hired him, like gave him an apartment, gave him a vehicle, and then so he was living there, and we were like, we don't want this guy to be our maintenance guy. Like he's wrapping electrical tape around plumbing to fix it and stuff like that, plumbing leaks, and just like, real, just like, oh my God, what are these people thinking? So like, we don't want him anymore, but he ended up staying in his apartment. He wasn't paying rent. The landlord was like, yeah, well, his rent's like $600 a month. Yeah. But he just kind of works for it, this and that. But anyway, we never saw a dime. They cut his power off because he didn't have any money to pay the power bill. And then, they repossessed his truck. And then, so we evicted him. Well, turns out he had some girlfriend that was living over there too. We evicted him. And I think we banned him because he was kind of sketchy. We're like, we don't know if he still has keys to the closets, and he can get supplies out when he wants or steal stuff. And so then I get a call saying, hey, our lovely old maintenance man that we banned from the property got stabbed on the property by his girlfriend. And yeah, blood all over everything, up and down the hallways. And but he lived. But
Gosh,
she
this is
stabbed
crazy.
him. We still don't know why she stabbed him, but anyway.
But this is in a pretty nice neighborhood, you said.
Yeah, I was in a decent neighborhood.
Okay.
And this was like, he was like the trashiest one, the baddest, the worst seed. There was a few other bad apples that we had to get out of there, but most everybody else was really nice, really, respectable folks, working class. They, a lot of them drove nicer cars than I did, but yeah, he was just the bad seed.
Wow.
So.
All right. So you have this cash flowing asset and you decide 2 years later, you're going to sell it. So let's talk about all the selling stuff. So how much money did you actually put into it? Because you're estimating about $3,000 per unit, but then the ACs came up, then you had to scoop up blood and dead bodies. So do you know how much you actually put into it as far as repairs?
Probably 150,000.
Okay. That's not
we'll
bad.
See somewhere right in there.
That's right where you're supposed to be. Very good. And how did you end up selling it?
So after the fire happened, and we were just like what a pain. I had a broker that was calling me like once a week, leaving me voicemails. Hey man, if you ever want to sell this property, let me know, whatever. And then I answered his phone call by mistake one time, and I was like, oh, here we go. And he's like, hey, if you ever want me to do an opinion of value, let me know. No obligation, whatever. So I called my business partner. I said, hey, this guy sounds pretty cool, whatever, legit. I see his emails blasting out deals. He wants to do an opinion of value. Is that okay with you? Yeah, sure. Have him do an opinion of value. And so he puts together this opinion of value.
Is this like a stabilized value?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, or a value that where we were at the time. So we had increased rents, done repairs, and all that good stuff. Changed out the tenant base, and so he's like, "Yeah, what can we sell it for right now?" And so he came back with we were thinking, we'd be lucky to get like $3 million for it or something. So he comes back with $3.5 million.
Wow.
And we're like, I convey that to the business partner, and he's like, oh man, we'd be stupid not to sell this thing. And I was like, whatever you want to do. And so we listed it, and we were still rebuilding the barn building at the time, and it was like about the time that somebody would buy it, we would have the certificate of occupancy for those units, and probably have them rented out for them too. So
all right,
listed it for. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so big numbers here. After you find a buy, did you find a buyer?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me how this went. I'm sorry I cut you off because I'm so excited to get to your profit here. I'm like jumping the gun. So you find a buyer for it.
Me too. It was exciting. So, all right, listing price 3.6 million. We get some offers in 3.5, 3.4, 3.55 million, and then the day that they did like a best and final offer call. They get everybody's numbers together, which was unique to me. You don't. Maybe you do that in the house world.
And everybody, single family home.
Everybody chill out. Bring me your best number by Friday.
Right.
Your best offer, your best terms. And somebody called on that Friday, and one of the brokers said, if you want this deal, you better be at this number. And we get this offer, 3.99 something million.
Oh my
it was like
goodness.
Right there at $4 million.
And what did you make? What was your profit?
I walked away with about 500,000 from it. And I started with no money in it. And so, boy, I was, just over the moon. There you go. Over the moon. Absolutely over the moon. And so my business partner, he made more than that because he had a preferred return and all that. Yeah, absolutely amazing. And I took that money and 1031'd it into one of my deals that I own now, which is a 48 unit complex. So I went from nothing to buying my own 48 unit complex just from this one project.
And that was my next question, because of the seller who sold it to you, he didn't want to pay the capital gains taxes. So you took that money and put it towards something else for you. So what do you owe on this new property? Did you have to get syndication investors for that as well? Syndicated investors?
So it was almost an exact replay. I bought it for 2.6 million and I had the down payment. So it was just me on that one.
Good for you, Paul. This is fantastic. I'm so impressed, and thank you for coming on the show to share this. The second part of the podcast is what makes you a badass, which after hearing all that, you are clearly a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS. The first letter is B for book. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Oh, geez.
Are you a book reader?
Of course. Oh, yeah. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So another great book is by a man named James Randall, Confessions of a Real Estate Entrepreneur.
Ooh.
And so he'll tell you a lot about commercial properties and financing and just like really creative things that you can do, just really like out of the box thinking. Confessions of a Real Estate Entrepreneur, James Randall.
I got to check that one out. Thank you for sharing that one. The first A in badass is for advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So I think, and I've heard this in a lot of different places, but I think it's still some of the best advice that I can give anybody that's trying to grow themselves into something that they're not now, which is don't take advice from people. Don't listen to people that aren't where you want to be, or that don't want to improve themselves, et cetera, or they may get, and everybody gets a little bit uncomfortable when you become something that you're not. Oh, they used to be like me, but now they're not. So just try to, and if there's like friends or family members even that aren't on the same page as you, maybe you don't just cut them completely out of your life, but you just don't talk to them about what you're wanting to do, or your business goals, or your fitness goals, or your faith goals, or whatever it is that you're trying to grow in. Don't listen to them.
Because you have a growth mindset, and many times people have what's called a fixed mindset, where they live paycheck to paycheck because that's just how they think life is. But I love how you're saying that, because you never want to take advice from someone who hasn't been where you already are, where you're headed, basically.
Correct.
And people want to give you advice. Oh, why would you quit? Why would you quit a perfectly high paying corporate America job? Because I want that financial security. I totally get what you're saying. And that hit some heartstrings for me. So yes, I do get it. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives Paul to be successful?
I don't know. I ask myself that sometimes. Of course, I want the freedom and flexibility to do what I want to do when I want.
You've been to some pretty cool places. I did a little Facebook stalking, and you went to Colombia recently.
Yeah.
Was that just social?
Yeah, that was just
and not South Carolina, by the way. Colombia, the country.
Yeah, Colombia, South America. I did a 2-week trip down there. That was actually my celebrating being single again trip in December. So that was great. Then I did my advanced scuba diving course down there.
Oh, cool.
I did. And then I went shortly after that. I went to this little island called Bonaire that's next to Aruba. And it's actually right off the coast of South America.
Is that where those little houses were on the coast?
Yeah.
That was so cool. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is all over the place. I love it. All right. So we're talking about drive. So driving, what drives you to be successful is,
I want to continuously improve. I want to see growth. And I've had times in my life, definitely even after my catapult to my real estate journey, where I just feel like I'm just kind of stuck and I haven't grown. I'm not getting any better. So something's wrong. And so that's why I joined that mastermind where I met you is 1,000% because of that. I want to be around other people that stimulate me and learn and do new things, do things that I never even thought that I would be capable of doing, that I didn't even know existed. So
that's awesome. We call that paying for proximity. And it's just, you want to surround yourself with people where you want to be, in a few years. So yes. I agree 1,000%. That group is just like high caliber, I think.
Yes. It's great.
All right. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what's a goal you are currently working on?
The goal now is to double my portfolio size.
Boom.
And I don't have a time limit on that. It's a little harder than it was in the last few years right now, because we're in high interest rate environment, climbing interest rates, real estate prices are more or less what they were, even when the interest rates were half of what they are now.
Right.
So it has been a challenge, and it will be a challenge for me to do that. But that's my goal. Maybe I'll put a time limit on it. 2 years. I want to double my portfolio.
I love it. How'd you get into storage units, by the way?
The same man that sold me the 32 unit and the 57 unit called one day and said, "Hey, I've got this little storage facility. Do you want it?" And I was like, "I don't know." I said, let me do some numbers on it. So I underwrote it, and I thought this could be a good little deal. And I'd always been interested in the storage business. My uncle owned some storage units as well that I actually ended up buying after I kind of got my feet wet. It was a 30 unit storage facility, small, paid $95,000 for it or something like that. And I fixed it up. It was full of trash, abandoned, real junky, put all new doors on it, painted it, fixed a bunch of stuff, and then just leased it up from nothing, from no tenants to 30 tenants. And yeah.
Good for you. I've never thought about going into storage units, but I see more and more people doing it.
It's so much easier than apartments.
That's what they say. All right. The first S in badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
So definitely like my property management company. that I use. It's a huge system for my apartments now. So right now I've got two 48-unit apartment complexes in Southern Kentucky. They're about 45 minutes from each other, and I couldn't do without them. Definitely couldn't do without them. And then this isn't really a system, but just having people in my network that I can call if I need anything at all, advice, if I need a lawyer, if I need anything, that make sure that you're staying in touch with these people and staying relevant, so you can call them up one day and say, hey, and your brokers, your real estate brokers too, maybe you're not using them on this deal that you're looking at now, but you're like, you want somebody else to double check your numbers. Hey, what do you think we could sell this for next year when I get the rents to this?
Very, very smart. Yeah. Having people close to you to ask advice is so important. And I feel like in this industry, people are very giving as well.
Mm-hmm.
And totally supportive of everybody else. And I would say 95% of people do that. Then you have a few a-holes, but but for the most part, yes, people are super supportive. So to wrap this up, Paul, the final S in badass is success. What does success mean to you?
So I think for me, it means just living a life of greatness, constant improvement, like I've been saying, and then being able to just constantly work on my freedom, my friends, my family, my finances. I call that like the 4 F's or whatever. But I stole that from somebody else. But I started writing those down, and I was like, yeah, it's 5 F's. But so yeah, just having a life that's where I get to have the freedom to do what I want, and I can give to other people. I can teach other people, like being on this podcast. I love when people reach out to me and say, man, you really inspired me. I want to do what you do. You know, what will you help me out? I'm like, absolutely. Yeah. You need to help yourself as well. But you can call me up anytime, and I'll give you advice for sure. And I'll be your cheerleader and whatever you need.
Well, Paul,
I really enjoy doing that.
I look forward to reaching out to you at some point when I have questions. And I'm sure some of the listeners out there are thinking the same thing. So if they have questions for you, how can they find you? Are you on social media, on Facebook? How can they find you?
Facebook, Paul Barbeau, Instagram, the Paul Barbeau.
Ooh.
LinkedIn, email, paul.barbeau01@gmail.com. So I'm sure you'll have those in like the show notes.
Yes. They will be out there. So Paul, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's a pleasure. And you have inspired me. I got to find me one of those guys like, hey, would you like one of these storage units? So I think that's fantastic. Paul, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Yes. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.